group of volunteers dedicate the following documentary, which captured Heng's 25 years of journey to Chongtou, who graduated from Harvard University and was an investment banker and a full-time volunteer. Heng's staff and volunteers are in Hong Kong, mainland China, Canada, USA, and Singapore. Heng started its work in 1998 and in the province of Henan through sponsoring 127 HIV-affected orphans. Then, Heng's footprint landed in Anhui, Hunan, Hubei, Shandong, Shanxi, Sichuan, Yunnan, Guangxi, and Guangdong provinces. Over 37,000 HIV-affected orphans and impoverished students receive assistance from Heng Foundation. Lately, Heng's target group has been shifted from HIV-affected orphans, also known as starfish, to students who are sick, poor, or being discriminated, whom we call seahorse. Heng has touched the hearts of many people, leaving us with many unforgettable stories. We hope that you will be touched by these stories and will also join us to help those who are in need. Heng Foundation has sponsored over 37,000 students. In the beginning, these students were mainly HIV-affected orphans. In the last few years, Heng has also provided financial assistance to impoverished students from rural regions. Because of a single person's dream, these students were able to receive a good education. The world is enormous, but when I first came to Huazhong region of China, I was on a ride to a village. I saw borderless paddy fields and many small hills. Later, I found out that the small hills were actually tombs. Suddenly, a boy came up to me, saying that his father laid in one of those small hills. I was speechless. How can a 6-year-old speak of the passing of his father in such a calm, nonchalant manner? Later, I learned that death was nothing but normal in this village. In the early 90s, poor peasants in the region sold their blood for money and were subsequently infected by HIV. The sad reality was that many were young parents who later passed away, leaving many orphans behind in the village. I walked to the other small hills where the mud was still wet on a few of them. I found it hard to breathe, realizing that there were lives under all of these hills, and that these people were the breadwinners of their families once. HIV has left many broken families behind. Therefore, I was determined to do something for them. I resigned from my position in investment banking as a vice president. Over time, I visited the villages more often. But the more I visited, the more tragedies I witnessed. For a young man who was born in Hong Kong, educated and worked in the US, these tragedies were absolutely shocking. I remembered on a Lunar New Year Eve, which happened to be my birthday, I stuffed my backpack with money raised and supplies and distributed them from one county to another so that those families could have them for New Year. I sat in the back seat of an old van in a cold day. Even though I had put on the thickest jacket, it was still bitterly cold inside the van. The country roads bounced the car up and down, and I endured the long, rough, freezing car ride. When I was in New York, I usually celebrated my birthday with friends and family with delicious feasts, but that night I didn't even have dinner to eat. Ever since I started helping the HIV-impacted orphans, I brought money, other necessities to them on my every birthday. Yet at that moment, sitting in a rocking van on a cold night, sad and sorrow were the only feelings that filled the air.
我第一次嚟呢，其實係好漫無目的，就唔知自己想做啲乜，主要係想嚟睇下個情況。咁我就好感動，同埋即係好震撼啊！嗰陣時我未曾見過呢，有咁多嘅人間苦難喺一個咁細嘅地方。嗰度呢，嗰陣時有好多人自殺啦，好多人受唔住歧視同埋嗰個屈辱啦，自殺啦，有啲人受唔住病魔嘅煎熬自殺啦。一日之內咧有11個葬禮，咁係有一個咧唔係愛滋病死嘅啫，咁其餘10個家庭咧都係因為愛滋病而去世。你諗下一條村得千幾人，即係等於可能400戶人家咁樣，即係千幾人，但係有11伙人，即係11個 household， 11個伙人係有人死咗，要同一日出殯，咁係真係好震撼。咁我嚟嘅就係即係個病發嘅高峰期啦，好多人買血啊，咁感染咗愛滋病，即係嗰陣時已經開始發病，咁我都見到好多小朋友變成咗孤兒啊，咁其中有一啲小朋友都因為母嬰傳播，自己都感染咗咯。嗰晚我睇見咗天話，哇！呢度真係有一個好大嘅即係災難咁樣，咁但係咧又冇人入到嚟幫手，又冇人可以做到任何嘢。本來我諗住會唔會幫啲愛滋病人呢？咁但係後來我諗，即係睇完之後，我覺得其實最大嘅社會意義就唔係幫啲病人，因為我又唔係醫生，我又唔係一個醫療嘅組織，我又冇藥俾佢哋，只係以我自己能夠做到最大意義就係幫翻佢哋嘅下一代，等佢哋有讀書嘅機會咯。已經有好多人輟學冇書讀啦，咁如果再唔開始擺翻佢哋讀書呢，佢哋可能會流落到去大城市啊，做壞人啊，做街童啊咁咯。咁所以我諗，即係嗰個緊急性好緊要啊，因為佢哋大部分都係冇愛滋病嘅。如果我哋幫咗佢嘅時候呢，佢哋可以有個讀書嘅機會，可以有更好嘅發展，就唔係話靠救濟啊，或者成為一個社會嘅負擔，或者一個學壞啊，做社會嘅負資產咁咯。即係有好多人呢捐咗錢去助學呢。但係又唔知啲錢去邊啦，嗰啲有啲學生又唔會同佢哋有直接嘅交流啦，直接嘅溝通啦，咁其實好嘥啦。咁我哋即係呢樣嘢咧，係又令到唔單止啲學生好可以得到一個好啲嘅培訓，佢咧又覺得有人關心佢，唔係淨係咧俾張紙俾佢咁簡單。佢嚟依家坊會咧就有啲係員工做嘅，有啲一個人咧有幾張交通報表，就係有啲係大學生暑期工作上去做，咁咧就所以我哋咧並唔係話個大學生嚟啦，咁咧就叫佢填一份表，咁佢哋話乜我哋就信乜，我哋咧派一個獨立嘅義工或者即係我哋嘅大學生或者我哋嘅員工係去佢屋企做 home visit。即係我哋唔係淨係聽佢片面之詞咧就信，咁然後我哋又 personally 我咧 interview 佢，咁咧另外咧佢同佢交好多 paperwork， 佢屋企嘅戶口本啦，證明佢父母同佢嘅關係啦，亦都有即係佢父母嘅身份證明啊，學校嘅入學嘅日期啊，佢讀書考得成績點啊，學生證咁，即係每一個都係咁嘅，係啦，每一沓係一個學生。
有的他不是這種家庭的，然後他們也想得到這個救助，然後可能就找人代替，然後我們就查出來他這種呢，幫他這種另外發。
咁所以咧，我又可以好同啲捐款人交代，啲捐款人又好放心。即係我以前真係中學生都係自己做嘅，咁但係而家多咗人咧，咁我起碼咧大學生每一個我都見過，亦都即係有啲係亦都好 sad 嘅故仔咯。同埋啦，呢度有好多資料都係我哋每一年嘅成果啦，咁又要即係逐個去家訪啦，家訪完之後又要核實佢哋父母個愛滋病感染嘅情況啦。咁有啲又有唔同兄弟姊妹啦，有啲喺唔同學校啦、唔同嘅村啦咁咯。其實我哋員工有好多嘅工作，但係我哋咁做咧，就希望將 make sure 咧啲善款可以直接去到啲屋企。 就咧冇經中間人，我哋冇將啲錢俾咗當地政府或者一個第三者嘅機構，咁然後咧再俾啲學生，而係咧我哋直接俾啲學生，咁所以我哋有好多paperwork 嘅支持，然後咧就將啲錢咧可以直接撥俾啲學生。對我嚟講好大嘅特點啦，因為唔係個個機構都會用咁多心機去即係自己去做呢樣嘢，可能都係俾第三，即係俾一個當地方嘅第三者機構去做。
Xiao Lu and her brother are underprivileged ethnic minority students from impoverished families in southwest China who had received assistance from Heng for several years. Xiao Lu lives in Heqi City in the province of Guangxi, a place resembling Guilin, a city known for its remarkable landscape of limestone karst hills. Similar to their neighbors, Xiao Lu lives in the mountainside with her mother, brother, and grandparents to avoid bandits and thieves. Unfortunately, in 2008, Xiao Lu's father died of AIDS. To reach them, our volunteers traverse extremely hilly roads to reach their home. Thanks to Heng, she could move out from the mountains to receive a good education. Xiao Lu said that after graduating from university, she became a nurse at a hospital. Recently, Heng's work has spread from the southwest region of China, which is home to many small villages and ethnic groups. Volunteers walked up and down the mountain roads to arrive at Xiao Lu's home. When Xiao Lu was a little girl, she and her brother walked 2 hours one way to their elementary school. It sounded easy for them after many years, but our volunteers took much more than 2 hours to get there. Simple was an overstatement to describe Xiao Lu's home. They grew vegetables and had a pig shed on the ground level in which they made the upper level their home. Although they were mostly self-sufficient, running water was not accessible at all. Xiao Lu's mother said she could not afford children to attend universities. Without Heng's help, this was entirely impossible. Making family visits in the southwestern region of China is much more difficult than in the central region because families live quite far apart from one another. Sometimes a volunteer will need to climb over mountains and traverse difficult terrain to reach one's destination. Not to mention that our volunteers were carrying heavy bags of groceries with them. To make matters worse, there was heavy rain the night beforehand, so walking 40 minutes on the muddy roads was difficult and arduous. Thanks to the guidance of Mr. Yang, the president of the local charity organization in Tongjian County, Sichuan, volunteers were able to see Jun at the top of the mountain. Jun's home had 2 layers of bricks, but a lack of maintenance had left her home in derelict. Jun was enrolled in Heng's Seahorse program that assisted students who are sick, poor, or being discriminated against. Jun's grandparents are old. His parents had health issues, and therefore the family could hardly farm. Jun's mother was also blind, whereas his younger sister, who was once under Heng's assistance, had left school for 2 years because she suffered from serious depression. She experienced self-mutilation and was under treatment. When Jun's father was able to farm, he had to tie up Jun's mother and sister, fearing an accident might occur. Jun's father showed us his daughter's medication, saying that her condition was not bad and she went to play at the mountain. Looking around the house, the volunteers were glad to see Jun's certifications and recognitions on the family walls. They really hoped that Jun's sister will recover and return to school soon. By the time the volunteers left, they saw some crops, signaling that, thankfully, Jun's family had some form of self-sustenance. Heng's volunteers continued to see another seahorse family in Tongjian County. Just like the trip to see Jun, they rode along narrow, winding roads built alongside the mountain. At a glance, volunteers saw Mr. Dong covered with a jacket. In fact, Mr. Dong had lost his arms previously due to a work injury, and unfortunately, he was not compensated fairly. Therefore, he went back to work home at the farm. Due to his physical handicap, Mr. Dong was not able to find a partner until a matchmaker arranged him with a woman who was mentally incapable. Whenever she fell ill, she would leave home by herself. Sometimes, Mr. Dong had no choice but to tie her up. Despite that, she gave birth to 4 daughters. 3 younger sisters who were under Chi Heng's assistance. The second daughter studied high school, the third in junior high, and the youngest attended elementary school. All of them did very well academically, and they had joined Chi Heng's summer camp previously. Unfortunately, the eldest sister suffered the same condition as her mother, thus never completing elementary school. When our volunteers came to visit them, only the eldest sister was at home. She showed the volunteers her broken right arm and her school writings. She expressed a strong desire to draw and to study, yet there were no schools available for children with special needs near her. The volunteers then brought her painting albums and crayons to spend time at home. Our volunteers were heartbroken that there was no one else to take care of her, and she was frequently left at home. Her mother, as Mr. Dong has told us, died in 2023 of esophageal cancer. Since then, he relied on his neighbors to keep an eye on her. He was blessed that Chi Heng helped him with his 3 daughters' tuitions and living expenses. President Yang said that Dong's previous home had collapsed, and the house they were living in now was borrowed from a generous person. Shanxi is located on the lowest plateau. Coal mining is Shanxi's major industry, but the province does not rain a lot, resulting in severe air pollution. Ningwu, situated at the dry region of Shanxi, is cool and windy. Volunteers wore thick jackets but still felt cold. The first family our volunteers visited was in a remote area of the mountain. The local government has set up fire prevention stations at the entrance of the roads to warn of wildfires. The Zhao family had 5 children. The eldest was 22, studying dentistry and would begin her internship this year. The second daughter was preparing for her national college entrance examination. The third daughter was in high school, and the youngest 2 twin boys were in elementary school. On the day of the family visit, only the twins were at home. Between the 2 boys, the eldest was taller, whereas the younger one was much more energetic. When volunteers went to their schools the next day, the younger brother would proactively approach them. They had both done well in school. Their room back home had a full wall of certifications. Mr. Zhao suffered from asthma and had only gotten worse in summer. His health problems required long-term medication, but his family was poor and therefore could not afford the medication. Hence, the government assigned him the role of forest ranger, who manned one of the wildfire prevention stations volunteers saw earlier. They had 40 lambs that they might need to sell in order to make ends meet. Although he had a job, it was a low-paying position. Very often, he worked part-time jobs at other villages to make a few extra dollars. Volunteers met the grandma on that day. She said she brought her daughter-in-law from another province to give birth. After giving birth to 5 children, she left the village to find a job, but never came back. There is no doubt that the 2 twins missed their mother very much. They were lucky to have grandma at home and 5 acres of land to grow corn and potatoes to cover basic living expenses. Still, they needed Chi Heng's funding for the children's tuition and other expenses. After bidding farewell to the Zhao family, the volunteers rushed to the home of Xiao Qi. Upon arrival, volunteers gave Xiao Qi's family cooking oil, rice, and other small gifts. Xiao Qi has 2 younger siblings, a girl and a boy. Xiao Qi's mother had left him shortly after giving birth to the last child. Although Xiao Qi's father had back problems, he continued to farm in order to make a living. Xiaoqi's grandma was old and had high blood pressure, but she managed to take care of Xiaoqi's siblings and their uncle who was mentally incapable. Xiaoqi's father was proud to show the certificates of his children. Notwithstanding the hard work, Xiaoqi's father was glad. In the past 25 years, Heng has given many families hope and had helped the children to walk out of the mountains or villages to receive a good education, which we believe is the key to change their lives. Following the trip to Xiaoqi's family, the volunteers headed to see Xiao Zhang. Again, they brought cooking oil, rice, and school bags with them. Xiao Zhang's house was dilapidated and barely contained anything. He has two twin sisters. They were both in high school with good grades, and they both had joined Heng's summer camp before. Heng has held summer camps for more than 20 years, offering fun activities and education to over 6,000 students. Xiao Zhang is 10 years old, the youngest in his family, but he was able to answer the volunteers' questions in English.
英国和美国的简称，然后中国和加拿大。
加拿大叫什么？
Canada 也是。
Canada， 我来自加拿大。
对。
对呀、
你们学习。
那英国的简称是什么？
英国，UK。
When asked if he missed his mother who left shortly after he was born, his answer was mostly expected. Xiao Zhang was grateful that the volunteers came all the way from Canada to see him. They encouraged him to work hard, to use knowledge to change his livelihood, and to help more people. Xiao Yue's sister was a second-year boarding student at the university. On the day of visit, only Xiao Yue and his brother Xiao Dong were at home. They joined Heng's summer camp and enrolled in advanced courses. Xiao Yue's father was appreciative on all the assistance that Heng had offered. Only students with good standings could enroll in the advanced courses. Heng provided them with extra courses over the weekend. The purpose was to help these students to win scholarships to local universities or overseas. The volunteers are shocked to see such a dilapidated house. The bed was above the fire's bed stove, whereas the door faced the road directly. Later, the volunteers learned that Xiao Yue's mother is physically handicapped and deaf. She could hardly communicate with her family, and in fact, she required full-time assistance. So happened she was in better shape when the volunteers paid them a visit, but she could not answer any of the questions. The volunteers wanted to buy them a closet to tidy up the bed, yet there was no room for it in the house. They left Xiao Yue's home with a bit of sadness. Xiao An's father died from a car accident when Xiao An was just 1 year old. Then, his mother left him and never came back. Because of that, Xiao An was raised by his grandparents. Unfortunately, his grandfather passed away in 2012, leaving Xiao An and his grandmother to depend on one another. When volunteers arrived, they brought them cooking oil, rice, and thick jackets. When asked about his dream, Xiao An wanted to enlist in the military to protect his country. Sadly, his dream might not come true, as his grandma just recovered from a stroke and hence become immobile. She also has several brain disorders that require extensive care. Having said that, Heng's staff still encouraged Xiao An to go for his dream. In the 2023 summer camp, Xiao An actively offered help to the staff, and his kindness left a good impression.
无论我们身处的环境是如何，就是我们一定要自信、勇敢起来。你勇敢已经很勇敢了，你能主动的去询问一个人需不需要帮助，我觉得已经很勇敢了，但一定再自信一些。 之前我带你去北京参加夏令营的时候，你是第一个主动去帮我搬东西的一个学生，搬那个矿泉水，你记不记得？记得啊。当时你问我，需不需要帮忙搬东西，然后我就让你帮忙了。虽然当时我没有说出来，但是这个事情一直记在我心里。
Xiao An worried about his grandma and their home. Actually, this wasn't even their home. Truth be told, their home was borrowed from a neighbor in the village. On a positive note, Heng paid for Xiao An's tuitions and related living expenses so he could focus on his studies. Since 1998, Heng has helped over 37,000 students, from AIDS-affected orphans to children from poor families. In the past 25 years, Heng Foundation had supported many outstanding students whose lives have changed due to a strong education. They achieved excellence in various professions, such as medical professionals, Xiaoqi being a good example. Xiaoqi lived in Henan province and was sponsored by Heng at the age of 10, belonging to the first few cohort of students under Heng's support. Xiaoqi still remembers joining Heng's summer camp. Heng's summer camp is an annual event that takes place in China's major cities. Its goal is to allow HIV-impacted orphans and impoverished students to see the world through visiting universities and corporations. The summer camp also offers art therapy to let students express themselves through music and painting. Xiaoqi left his village for the first time to join a summer camp in Guangzhou. He was both excited and nervous, wondering what the world outside the village actually looked like. Thanks to Xiaoqi's good grades, he was chosen to attend the advanced class, meaning that he had tutors during the weekend, especially on the subject of English. In 2017, a sponsor from Toronto sponsored 4 advanced class students to attend a 2-week summer camp in Toronto. That summer camp was an absolute eye-opening opportunity for them. They joined the local students to see the Niagara Falls, to study, and have a picnic. Xiaoqi, who has been hoping to see the world, finally realized their dream, thanks to the care of President Li and other volunteers.
因为我父亲就说了，可能最多让我读书读到高中，可能大学应该不会上，就是可能送去学一些学厨师啊，或者是学修车，然后就成家立业。因为大大小小也参加过了很多次的夏令营和一些活动，最重要的就是一个个人经历和眼界的开阔。第二个是对我人生的一个轨迹都发生了一个很大的变化。陆老师可能就是那个支点，他可能就是翘起整个地球的那个支点，改变了我整个的人生。我个人是觉得不平凡的，虽然说我很普通，但是我觉得那些经历确实是很不凡。
After the trip, Xiaoqi was determined to work hard to return for the love and care that he received. Today, Xiaoqi is a nurse in a hospital in Sichuan. When we filmed his daily work, we realized that Xiaoqi has become a mature adult. Thanks to the donors' support, Heng can grow its network of help exponentially. Xiaoqi has also received your love and care, and now in turn returns that love and care to his patients. Leaving home is never easy. Xiaoqi left Henan province by himself to work in Sichuan province. The feeling of loneliness is beyond our imagination, especially during COVID. Let's hear from Xiaoqi about his homecoming visit on this year's Labor Day.
去年我回家了，没有跟我家长说，我想给他们一个惊喜，就是早上可能大概8、9点钟从成都往郑州去坐高铁，然后是6、7个小时，到郑州是4点多，然后我联系了一个我们那边的私家车，也花了将近4个小时的时间，可能到家晚上是9点多，然后当时我敲我们家的门，然后我妹妹在家，她说谁呀？我说快开门，是我。她一开始没听出来是谁的声音，因为我已经很久没回去了，她以为是骗子，她就没敢给我开门。后面我就喊她的名字，然后我说是你哥回来了，然后我妹就很开心，就在里面喊，就是喊爸妈，我哥回来了。然后我妈说了一句什么，你咋回来了？然后我就听到我妈第一句话，我就在流泪，然后就是说不出话，我就觉得自己在外面2、3年真的受了很多的苦，就是当时真的大概有7、8分钟都说不出来话，就是一直在哭。我妈就问我是不是受别人欺负了什么，为什么一直在哭？就是我自己可能回家也是很开心的，就是拉着行李箱就觉得哎呀到家了很开心， 听到那声亲切的来自父母的问候的时候，就觉得可以放下身上很多的担子，就是说在他们面前可能自己还是一个孩子，不用自己一个人去扛很多事情。就是可能小的时候不明白为什么有很多人对家长就是报喜不报忧，然后现在自己变成这个样子之后，就是可能亲身经历过之后就变得更明白为什么会报喜不报忧，就是有些事情自己扛着就好了，没有必要让牵挂自己的人也变得那么难受。是这样啊，自己在外面是这样。
你叫什么？
我叫朱川来，姓朱。不是你猪那个吃那个猪肉的猪，是那个不得听说过吧？朱总理。
Raymond Zhu, resident of Zhumadian, Henan Province, recipient of Heng Foundation's education sponsorship, graduated from post-secondary in 2009 and then joined Heng Foundation as a staff. He became the head of Heng's office in Zhengzhou. After that, he worked at Hilton Hotel and Starwood Hotel. Currently, he is Vice Sales Director of AstraZeneca in the Henan Province.
之前其实也没有想象过我会走到今天，一方面呢，确实从农村这个刚开始，其实家庭并不是那么好啊，包括我的父亲也是在我高2的时候，就是刚好那年18岁，然后不在。之前其实我因为3个姐姐嘛，然后家里的心也不是特别去爱操心，虽然家里也比较贫穷，但是后来我父亲爸爸去世之后，突然之间觉得像长大了一样。那个时候其实心智的成熟度各方面还不太够了。其实在04年其实是认识了杜老师，也是在我父亲去世那年，杜老师开始去帮助我嘛，然后后来就每年呢也会参加智行的这个工作，后来大学毕业后呢就加入了智行。其实在智行工作的5年当中，也接触了像艾弗伦呀，包括很多香港的义工，还有一些企业家，从他们那边给了我很多宽广的一些思路和这个思维方式。所以下来呢，现在到了这个阿斯利康，现在目前也做这个2线的一个管理。就对我来讲，我觉得很重要。第一，我在智行那边吸收了很多的这样的一个正的能量。我在阿斯利康现在的工作呢，从发心上来讲，向善的一个发心。我跟我们的团队和同事，每次开会我都会要讲，就是我们除了这个拿一份工资和奖金之外，我们希望是这个有一个这个价值观在里边。我们希望帮助更多的患者，让他有好的这种治疗。其实这个也是从杜老师那边这个学习过来的。
AstraZeneca is a British and Swedish company that ranks one of the top 500 companies globally. China is AstraZeneca's second largest market. Being the Vice Sales Director of AstraZeneca, Raymond and his team spend most of their time seeing clients, whom are mainly the program directors of hospitals. Today, Raymond and his colleague visit First Zhengzhou Hospital to show them a new drug. Often, Raymond and his team would follow up on patients who are on the company's drug trial program. Hence, hospitals are also Raymond's workplaces. In the hospital, Raymond assigns his colleagues to meet different doctors and to brief them later. Raymond has a very good rapport with his colleagues, and he is as confident as a local who grew up in the city.
我进入到阿斯利康这个全球也是知名的医药公司，刚开始来的时候还是比较有挑战的啦，因为前面其实在智行工作有5年的时间，后来又做在万豪旗下的爱美做酒店人力资源将近1年，其实是跨了几个维度吧。而且我的专业其实跟药也关联性也不是特别大了，所以来的时候其实还是蛮曲折的。面试的人呢也是给了我一个机会，因为他看到了很重要一点，就是我有5年的在公益机构在智行的这种工作的履历。他觉得至少我这个人的品德人品还是应该是可以的。那个时候刚好在河南省的一个小城市有一个岗位，他就问我当时在郑州住了，他你那个城市你挑城市嘛？我说不挑的，先给我一个机会就好了。所以呢，当时就给了我一个入到这个行业里面的机会了。当时其实我的目标也非常明确，我觉得我是一个 对自己还是比较自信的一个人。我相信，虽然是跨行，对吧？我只要给我一个机会，我还是能够把它做好的。
Raymond is extremely thankful for how Chi Heng Foundation supported him to become who he is now. He always remembers Chi Heng's philosophy of 1 helps 3, 3 helps 9, as his own motto to participate in charity work. For instance, he successfully convinced AstraZeneca to become a title sponsor in one of Chi Heng's summer camp regions. When a rainstorm hit Henan province in 2021, Raymond and several other students who graduated from Chi Heng's program collected necessities and supplies and sent them to victims by kayaks. During the 2013 Sichuan Ya'an earthquake, Raymond and a number of Chi Heng-sponsored university students brought tents to Ya'an. They used those tents as classrooms to run daily tutorials for the elementary and high school students in the disaster area. Moreover, Raymond understands the value of reading. Hence, he formed Starfish Reading Club with a group of Chi Heng volunteers, hoping that everyone can read at least 1 book a month.
因为做这个事情，我觉得很重要的是，你做了之后，其实你不仅仅帮助了获益人，或者说是你环保去保护了地球和环境，更重要，你做了还有一方面你自己内心是愉悦的，是开心的。我经常跟同事有时候会举这个例子，我说你在公交车、在地铁上，你给一个老人让一个座位，而你能够开心半天，对吧？只是一个很简单的动作，这个我觉得是公益的价值所在。它不是说帮助别人，所以对自己来讲，它是自然的会给一个回馈和反馈。我觉得这个也是很重要的事情。
Growing up from a single-parent household, Raymond particularly treasures family time. Therefore, no matter how busy he is, Raymond and his wife help their kids with their homework. Also, the couple will try to not have business trips at the same time, making sure that at least one of them stays home with the kids. On the day of the shooting, Raymond's wife prepared the vegetables for Raymond to cook. The crew was so happy to enjoy a homemade meal after months of long filming in the villages. Li Han received Chi Heng's sponsorship when he was a first-year university student, but at that time, her parents were also diagnosed with HIV. It was a big blow to her. Just when she felt desperate and helpless, Chi Heng Foundation came into contact with her.
这是我大2上学期嘛，上学期认识的知行，因为之前也不知道知行，就当时家里就是父母有这种情况之后，家庭的每一个成员都不知道该怎么办，除了这种身体上的痛苦、精神上的痛苦，其实还面临很大的经济压力。因为我当时也刚考上大学，但是家里面学费都是一个很大的问题，就是学费和生活费。然后我当时也有就校外有打工，包括学校也会给一部分助学金，对于就是生活呀，还有学费各方面来讲还是不够。然后当时就接触到智行，第一次去面试的时候，我当时的心态还是就是有一种很竞争的心态，就觉得我必须要面试上，没有了解到这种慈善的本质，也没有就觉得好像我必须得优秀，然后才会去资助我。后来其实跟杜老师接触，包括跟智行接触这么长时间，我了解到其实杜老师是平等的对待每一个人的，然后不是说像这种你优秀才会给你资助，是每一个有需要的孩子他都会去资助。其实我也是被这种就这种大爱所感染。上大学的时候也会有一些，当时有暑期的项目去支教，然后学校里边的有一些公益性的项目我也都会去参与。除了给了我就是这种经济上的帮助之外，就心灵上也给我们很大的影响。我们也慢慢的从一个被帮助者，然后可以成为一个帮助他人的人，就是无论是在社会上还是在工作当中，在生活当中，就是我们也会慢慢的去践行智行的这种大爱的精神。
It was very difficult for Chi Heng Foundation to raise funds during the pandemic, So the frontline staff organized a donation plan for past graduates, hope that they can make donations to Heng so that Heng can continue to support more students like them. Li Han's first donation was a 5-digit figure amount. For her, it was very important to help people in their most difficult times, just like the help she received from Heng when no one could help her back then. 5 years have passed since the pandemic. Li Han still makes monthly donations to Heng, and these monthly donations have not stopped.
我们也不知道志行现在就是这样一个状况。当时珊珊跟我聊的时候，我就捐了一笔钱，但是也不算多，因为我自己就是根据我自身的能力，我们有多大能力就办多大的事情。我也不是那种企业家，月入多少几千万这样子，我会根据我自己的能力。但是因为我知道，在我最困难的时候，志行给了我们什么，然后我希望这一份爱心能一代一代的传递下去，尽我们自己的力量，帮助下面需要的那种弟弟妹妹们，让他们在最困难的时候，能够有这样一份支撑，有这样一个心灵的家园可以依靠。等他们慢慢长大了，慢慢的有力量了，他们也会成为我们再一代一代的把这份就是很无私的、很平等的这种爱去传递下去。这个是我自己心里最真实的想法。佛教有句话叫，就是利他才是真正的自利，就是你真正帮助别人的时候，其实才是自己最快乐的时候。当你只是单纯的去追逐，比如说外在的物质也好，或者什么也好，这种快乐的时候，可能快乐不会预期而至。但是你在帮助他人的过程当中，这个幸福感和满足感是非常非常强烈的。
感谢志行的资助，让我从毕业开始能够通过在志行的工作，然后获得在世界500强的企业里边工作的这个机会。非常感谢能够有机会加入世界500强的 DHL 这种国际快递巨头里边工作。这个也是得益于我在志行的这个实习的经历以及资助，非常感谢。
Liu Qi is one of the early students funded by Heng Foundation. After graduating from college, she worked for TNT, DHL, and FedEx, some of the world's top 500 companies. Let's listen to Liu Qi's recollection of how Heng has helped him.
其实是想分享一个小故事，就是在我初中的时候，当时是一位郑州的一个公司的总经理，就是他要去做这样的慈善，然后是给到我们这样的家庭有一个这个学费的资助啊。但是呢，在当时的那个阶段，就是在资助了有1年左右之后，发现他们的动机不太单纯。那后来有跟我的父母去讲说，农村的孩子你上学也上不了太好的学校，那就觉得那你不如来跟着我，那你做我的保姆，然后我给你一些教育的机会呀，或者是怎么样。但是对于我的父母来说，虽然他们的学历程度不高，但是觉得那小孩也愿意学，成绩也没有说那么的差，那就想让他继续去上学，那就回绝了。后来就是遇到志行之后，通过他的一些方式知道了我们家庭的这个情况，然后跟我爸妈接触上。但是当时因为有前边的这个小插曲，其实是持怀疑的这个态度的但是后来那个真正的就是加入到志行之后，然后参与到志行组织的这些活动之后，感觉确实是不一样的。就是接触到驻马店的这个志行的工作员工，开始心理上会感觉，他们真的是真心对我们好，而且就是这个好真的是发自内心的，不是说像别的这种做样子或者是怎么样，他是真的会关注到我们每一个人的这个心理的状态。那这个我们都是人与人沟通都是能够感受到的。加入到志行之后，不断的参加他们的活动，比如说像那个暑期的一些夏令营呀，然后一直于后边上了大学之后去参加一些家访。那 通过这样的一些活动，实实在在的去看到不同的家庭、不同的情况，然后通过杜老师给到大学生的一些演讲，然后包括每一个人都是单独去面试，去了解我们的情况。从那么多年跟知行接触下来，我觉得最大的一个感触就是对于每一个学生的尊重，每一个家庭的尊重。而且像杜老师的这个就是他的一个理念，就是他相信每一个人的潜力都是无穷大的，不管你现阶段是一个什么样的水平，只要你一心向善，积极往上走，肯定最后的结果不会特别差。感觉真的是让人很敬佩，然后也是很打心眼里认为知行就是我们的一个很强有力的后盾，一个大家庭。对于我毕业或者说在大4实习的时候找的第一份工作就是这个 TNT 嘛。第一，我不是中国这种985、211的强有力的这种学历去做支撑，只是一个普通本科，然后没有其他的这种海外留学的这种背景。在这样的一个情况下，我唯一能够写到简历上的就是我参加知行的这些活动。比如说去家访，然后暑期回到家乡去做这种兴趣班呐，或者说这些活动。那当时我印象比较深的就是我们的那个 HR 给到我说，他说：“哎，刘科，我觉得通过你做的这些义工的这些活动，那我觉得你是一个非常有责任心也很踏实的一个小姑娘。那公司的这个实习生的岗位，我是愿意给到你，也相信你可以做得好。”那通过这样的一个情况下，那我拿到了这个实习生的 offer。那真正的到了公司之后，那通过自己的努力，那后来公司有机会之后呢，去转正，以至于后边在这个接下来的10年里边，在这几家外资企业能够来回跳槽。那其实所有的根源都是源于对于知行的这个相识相遇。
In the early 90s, farmers in the province of Henan sold blood for money, and many of them, mostly young parents, were unfortunately infected with HIV and subsequently died. In some cases, the virus was passed on to the next generation. Panic suddenly arose among the villagers, fearing that the next generation will be wiped out. Thanks to the drug which blocks the virus from the pregnant woman to their babies, 98% of the newborn is healthy.
就是找工作容易吗？
也那个容易吧，那个容易，但是他说学费太高了。
Xiao Heng and his wife were infected with HIV when they were infants. Xiao Heng's mother sold blood in the early 90s. She was infected and later passed away. Xiao Heng received Qi Heng's sponsorship when he was in elementary school. He had joined Qi Heng's programs in the past for HIV-infected kids and walked for Top Marathon. Through these programs, he met his future wife. They both attended the 2018 AmFAR Gala in Hong Kong, in which Qi Heng's ambassador, Miss Kathy Sui, received an award. When Qi Heng's filming volunteers visited Xiao Heng again in April of 2024, he was building a new house for his happy family. Because Xiao Heng's wife took drug during her pregnancy, which blocks the virus from the pregnant woman to their babies, they now had 2 healthy kids. Xiao Heng is very grateful with Qi Heng's help. He is now in the business of excavators. Due to the booming economy, more farmers want to build their own houses, and Xiao Heng's business took off accordingly. Xiao Heng's 2 own kids are the second generation of the Starfish program. Xiao Heng showed our volunteers his house, whereas his father said thank you many times. He said he wouldn't have had his comfortable life today without Qi Heng's assistance. Also, Xiao Heng wouldn't have met his wife and thus start a family. Thanks to the drug which blocks the virus from the pregnant woman to their babies, offering HIV-infected women the opportunity to have healthy babies. Xiao Heng understands that fundraising was very difficult during COVID, and therefore he gives his thanks to Qi Heng through making a donation. Xiao Teng was a very similar case as Xiao Heng, whereas both of Xiao Teng's parents had passed away. When Xiao Teng was filled with sorrow due to all these misfortunes, Qi Heng gave him a helping hand. Xiao Teng could continue his education, and joined Chi Heng's activities specifically for HIV-infected children. Xiaotong met his wife, who also has HIV, at a Chi Heng event. Again, Xiaotong's wife took drug which blocks the virus from the pregnant woman to their babies, and they now have 2 healthy second-generation starfish children. She was blessed with Chi Heng's help for bringing them a significant change to their lives.
My name is Mateo Liu Yalong. I come from Wenlou village in Henan province. And my parents used to be farmers. Now they're retired. And I have 5 siblings. My mom is infected with HIV due to blood selling.
Xiaolong has always been a student sponsored by Chi Heng since he was a little child. He participated in the summer camps and top-notch classes. Yet, when Xiaolong was in school, he had thought about dropping out twice. Tou Chong often chatted with him and even encouraged him to return to school. Meanwhile, Tou Chong took Xiaolong to visit the United World College branch near Shanghai.
And I also got a chance to join several summer camps in China. And I remember I visited Shanghai. There's one international school called United World College. I really liked it. So a few years later, with the encouragement from teacher Cong, I also got full scholarship and I went to that school.
United World College is one of the top international high schools, attracting students from other different ethnic groups, cultures, and family backgrounds. In the college, these students study and live together. Students are trained to become future leaders with an international perspective and the spirit of social services. During the 2 years he had in Germany, Xiaolong had become very integrated into local life. In April of this year, volunteers from Chi Heng went to Zhumadian to visit Xiaolong's parents. Although his parents didn't know what kind of high school United World College was, we could see on Xiaolong's father's face how grateful his family was to Tou Chong and also Chi Heng Foundation. In May of 2024, Tou Chong attended Xiaolong's graduation ceremony on behalf of his parents and sat in Robert Bosch College in Germany. In September 2024, Xiaolong will study in a university which ranks the 16th in the United States with an annual scholarship of $60,000, and also the university will provide a 4-year full scholarship.
I also got a chance to study in Germany for 2 years. And now I study in USA for undergraduate, also with full scholarship. I really want to thank Heng Foundation for giving me opportunities to change my life. And I really want to appreciate teacher Cong, who is like a father taking care of us all the time, and many other Heng staff members. Without any of them, I wouldn't be able to stand here and have such a different life.
When the audience sees this video clip, Xiaolong should have been accustomed to his American campus life by now. Chi Heng's mission has always been to use education to change the lives of disadvantaged students. Chi Heng Foundation's achievements today are the result of a group of hardworking frontline team members, including home visitors. They took buses to do home visits. They often climbed mountains and rivers and carried heavy bags of cooking oil and home supplies in their hands. The purpose is to make these HIV-affected orphans and students in need feel that there is love in the world and that someone cares for them. Chi Heng relies heavily on volunteers to complete most of its fundraising tasks. Some volunteers go to the Chi Heng office regularly, almost as if it's a full-time job. Some volunteers even bring their friends along to the village trips every year, hoping that their friends will be motivated enough to join Chi Heng's team to sponsor more students. Some volunteers recruit people to help the art camp every summer. Through painting and music, the students are able to relieve from their trauma. 25 years have passed. Through the founder of Chi Heng Foundation has inspired a group of overseas Chinese volunteers in Toronto and Vancouver. They hold many fundraising activities every year, such as selling charity sales, vegetarian feasts, and gala events and dinners. Chi Heng Foundation has also expanded to Singapore in recent years, and has also received support from the Chinese community there. Every year, Chi Heng Foundation Hong Kong holds different fundraising activities, such as vegetarian banquets, wine pairing events, charity walk, and charity dinners. Under the leadership of To Chong, Chi Heng Foundation has received support from overseas Chinese communities in Hong Kong, Canada, and Singapore. However, the road ahead is full of challenges. One story is, in April of 2024, Chi Heng volunteers went to visit a 10-year-old student named Ai who lived in Daliang Mountain, an autonomous region of the Yi ethnic group. Daliang Mountain is very dry and windy due to its high altitude. On the day of the home visit, it turned out that a colleague from Chi Heng who knew the Yi ethnic group's dialect could not make the trip due to an emergency. Therefore, the volunteers had no choice but to go to find a taxi driver who could understand both Mandarin and the Yi dialect and translate it on their behalf.
我们他姑姑送的过去的。
姑姑送的。您是啥？
我是他的阿姨。
阿姨。
Both of Ai's parents passed away when he was 1 year old. Since then, Ai and his aunt depend on each other. The volunteers were shocked to see how minimal the house was, and every room was about to collapse due to the wind. The taxi driver spoke to the Chi Heng volunteers in Mandarin and told them that there were many families like Ai's in Daliang Mountain. We hope that everyone will join the Chi Heng family to help more students in need so that they could use their knowledge and education to change their destiny and contribute to society.